In the last video, I've explained the bill comparison and conservation signal gauges. Let's look at the affordability gauge next. Again, we are currently looking at how much the example utility is charging for water and sewer combined for 5,000 gallons a month. The monthly bill comes out to be $62.25. Is that affordable? It's difficult to give a straight answer to this. There is no universally accepted definition of affordability, and this gauge should not be used as the single indicator of affordability of rates. However, the gauge does show the most commonly used indicator of affordability, the percent MHI. It is calculating what a year's worth of $62.25 of monthly bills is compared to the median household income of the community being served by this utility. If you take every household in your service community and line them up based on their annual household income, and then find the middle household, their income equates to the median household income. Basically, it means that half of the community's households make less than or more than this amount. The U.S. Census Bureau collects this information. We've already identified and linked your community's median household income, which is inflated to $2,008 in this dashboard. In the example utility, which is completely made up, we said that the median household income is a little over $38,000. So 12 months of $62.25 of bills amounts to 1.96% of the median household income. That's that number that you see at the bottom. This means that half of the households, half of the customers being served by this utility would spend up to or more than 1.9% of their annual income on water and wastewater bills if they used 5,000 gallons a month for 12 months. So is this combination, or is this affordable? Any answer to that question is subjective. We've color-coded the gauge based on a combination of factors: what funding agencies evaluate, what EPA and other utilities generally use, and other factors. Here we show that up to 1% MHI for water and 1% MHI for wastewater, or 2% for water and sewer combined, is relatively affordable, or at least it is more affordable than 1.5% MHI for water or wastewater, 3% combined. But then again, this is subjective, and many households have income levels much lower than the median household income. So the affordability scenario looks very different to them. Utilities need to use their best judgment in assessing the affordability of their rates and not rely on a single indicator. Nonetheless, since funding agencies use the percent MHA number in their considerations, we provide this number for you on the dashboard. The final gauge is one of the most important. It measures the cost recovery of the utility in the previous year. It equals the operating revenues, which is how much a utility collected from all of their customers, divided by the operating expenses, which in North Carolina includes depreciation for one fiscal year. Usually this is the previous fiscal year. A ratio of 1.0 means that the utility brought in just enough revenue to cover its expenses in that year. Anything below 1.0 means that the utility did not recover enough revenue to pay for operating expenses, including depreciation. Depreciation is a measure of capital need. The ratio should really be higher than 1.0 to accommodate future capital needs. And bond agencies consider this operating ratio when setting their ratings for a utility. As a result, we see a ratio of 1.2 or higher as a possible sign of financial health. For the selected utility, the operating ratio is 1.10. which is the number you see at the bottom. This is good, but should probably improve in order to plan for future capital cost increases. The good news is that the utility has more revenues than expenses. Government-owned utilities are run as non-profits, so this is not a measure of profit. The utility uses this extra cash to pay for needed infrastructure replacements and rehabilitation in order to keep the system running, and anything extra means that the utility is less likely to raise rates in the near future. In the next video, we'll look at all four gauges together to get the big picture. I'll also explain the slider on the bottom.